For basically all of human history, the Arctic was, kind of a footnote on the world map. A huge, frozen, empty space. So what on earth changed? All of a sudden, this icy landscape is a global hotspot, a brand new frontier where the world's major powers are starting to face off.
And if you need any proof of this new reality, just look at this statement. When a US president says the country needs Greenland, it sounds like something straight out of a 19th century history book, right? So what is really going on here?
Because here's the thing, all that talk about a real estate deal, it's mostly a distraction. The real story is so much bigger. It's about these massive shifts happening on our planet that are literally redrawing the map of global power.
Which brings us to our first point, a surprising proposal. Look, this wasn't just some off-the-cuff remark. That one idea took Arctic security from these dusty, obscure policy papers and shoved it right onto the front page, kicking off a conversation that was, frankly, long overdue.
Okay, so let's get into the Great Arctic Thaw. To really understand why all of this is happening right now, we've got to look at the root cause. And it's not a political decision, it's a physical one. It's the environmental engine driving this whole new era.
The key phrase right there is human activity. See, the melting of the Arctic isn't just an environmental story anymore. It's a geopolitical one. It's about unlocking a whole region that, for pretty much all of history, was locked away behind a massive wall of ice.
So, the crucial takeaway is this. Climate change is the geopolitical catalyst here. It's not just about melting ice. It's about lighting the fuse for a whole new era of competition at the very top of the world.
All right, so a new strategic prize. If the Great Thaw is opening the door, the big question is, what's behind it? What makes this region so incredibly valuable all of a sudden? Well, it all boils down to three main pillars of importance.
And this is the strategic trifecta right here. First, brand new sea lanes that could completely rewire global trade. Second, a commanding military position. And third, an absolute treasure trove of minerals that are essential for our entire technological future. Let's break these down one by one.
First up, shipping. A 30 to 40% reduction in travel time is an absolute game changer. I mean, think about that. It's like instantly making the world smaller. This could reroute trillions of dollars in global trade, and whichever nations control these new sea lanes will hold immense economic power.
The second pillar is military position, and this is where Greenland is the undeniable star of the show. It anchors what's called the GI-UK gap. That's the strategic water between Greenland, Iceland, and the UK. Back in the Cold War, this was the critical bottleneck NATO used to box in the Soviet fleet. Well, now, with Russia remilitarizing the Arctic, controlling this gap is once again a top priority.
And the third pillar? It's what's buried under all that ice. Greenland is thought to have these huge deposits of the very building blocks of our modern world. We're talking rare earths for our phones, minerals for EV batteries, you name it. In the 21st century, these aren't just commodities. They are fundamental to national security and winning the race for tech dominance.
So, let's talk about the high north competition. When you have new shipping lanes, key military choke points, and critical resources all up for grabs at the same time, well, the stage is set for a new, great game. Only this one is being played out on a field of ice.
And you can really see the competing playbooks taking shape. For the US and NATO, it's mostly about playing defense, countering what they see as a rising challenge from rivals. But for Russia and China, this is all about offense. They see a massive economic and military opportunity, and they are moving incredibly fast to seize it.
Okay, so why the Arctic matters now? What does all this competition actually mean in the real world? Well, we're starting to see the fallout, as the geopolitics of the Arctic Circle send ripples through the halls of power in Washington, in Brussels, and everywhere in between. This new, shall we say, blunt American focus has not gone over well, especially with Denmark, a key NATO ally that, actually has sovereignty over Greenland. It's creating friction at the exact moment when allied unity in the region is probably more important than ever.
And we absolutely can't forget the people who actually live there. This chart shows the local perspective in Greenland so clearly. An overwhelming majority, we're talking about 3 out of every 4 people, are against the idea of being acquired by the US. Their voice is a critical part of this story. This has also, unsurprisingly, sparked a really serious debate back in the US. On one hand, supporters of this new robust focus argue it's an overdue and necessary response to threats. But critics, on the other hand, they worry that this kind of abrasive talk risks alienating the very allies we need for any kind of effective cooperation up there.
So let's bring it all together. Here's the bottom line. The Arctic isn't some obscure policy issue anymore. Why? Because the ice is melting, which is unlocking immense value. Because that value is being unlocked, the world's major powers are moving in. And because they're moving in, this once frozen frontier is now a central flashpoint for alliance politics, national security, and the entire future of the global economy.
And all of this leaves us with one single, defining question for the 21st century. As this vast frontier continues to open up, are the nations of the world going to find a way to manage it as a zone of cooperation and science? Or is the High North destined to become the world's next great zone of conflict? The future of the globe may very well be decided at the top of it.